I had never feared the woods. Growing up in northern Idaho, the forest felt like a second home, the place where my dad taught me to fish, camp, and walk trails without getting lost. But that confidence nearly killed me last winter. It started on a Sunday afternoon when I drove out to Priest Lake to photograph the pines after an early snowfall. I'm not a professional photographer or anything, just someone who likes hiking alone when the world feels too loud. The sky was a dull silver, snow drifting gently like ashes from a dying fire. Everything smelled clean cold, untouched. I parked my SUV at a small turnout off Forest Road 302 and followed a narrow path into the woods. The snow wasn't deep, maybe 3 or 4 inches, and each step gave off a soft, satisfying crunch. The quiet out there felt so pure, it was almost hypnotic. No cars, no people. Just a winter forest humming in its own silent rhythm. I don't know how long I walked, maybe half an hour, when I began noticing something strange. The woods felt different. Not threatening, just wrong in a subtle way. Like the air itself was thicker, heavier, and the sounds, the small cracks of branches, distant birds, wind brushing the pines, they seemed muted. Like someone had put a filter over the whole forest. I kept walking until I came across a clearing I didn't remember ever seeing on maps. A perfect circle of snow-covered ground, surrounded by tall spruce trees leaning slightly inward. Inside that circle stood a small wooden structure, maybe an old tool shed. But the wood was dark, almost black, as if it had been burnt long ago but never fully collapsed. I had seen abandoned sheds in forests before, but this one gave off a cold feeling that went deep into my bones. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I walked closer. The snow around the shed was untouched. No footprints. No animal tracks. Not even fallen pine needles. It looked unnaturally clean, like something had wiped the entire area smooth. I pulled out my phone to take a picture, but the screen flickered and went. Black dot, dead battery, even though it had been at 82%. Then, a soft knock came from inside the shed. Not loud. Just one knock. Like someone tapping gently with a knuckle. I froze. The forest around me suddenly felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Then came another knock. And another. Slow, rhythmic, 3 seconds apart. Like a signal, I stepped back, my breath showing in long, shaky clouds. I didn't want to get closer, but I also didn't want to turn my back to that shed. I whispered, "Hello? Is someone in there?" The knocking stopped. Instantly. The silence that followed was worse than any noise, and then the door creaked open, only an inch, just enough to show darkness inside. A darkness that looked far too deep for a shed that size. My instincts screamed at me to run. But for a single stupid moment, I leaned forward slightly, trying to listen. That's when I heard breathing. Not mine. Not animal. Like human. Like slow and shaky, coming from deep inside the shed. I stumbled backward, nearly slipping on the snow, and turned around to leave. But before I could take more than 2 steps, something whispered my name, right behind me. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It wasn't even threatening. It sounded like someone standing inches from my ear, calmly saying my name the way a friend might wake you from a nap. My chest tightened. I turned around slowly. No one was there. The shed door was now open wider, maybe a foot. And inside, I could see something shifting. A shape. Tall. Thin. Completely still. but unmistakably human-shaped. I didn't stay to look longer. I ran hard, feeling snow spray up behind me with every desperate step. My lungs burned. The cold sliced at my face. Branches slapped my arms as I forced my way through the trail. But halfway back, I heard footsteps behind. Soft at first, then faster, then matching my pace. Whatever was chasing me wasn't struggling through snow at all. It sounded like it glided. I didn't dare look back. When I finally reached my SUV, I yanked the door open, jumped inside, and slammed the locks down. My hands trembled so bad I could barely get the keys into the ignition. The forest around me was silent again, too silent. Then, something tugged the back door handle. Just one sharp pull, metal rattled. I couldn't breathe. A second pull, harder. I pressed myself against the driver's seat, shaking uncontrollably. The third pull never came. Instead, someone spoke, a whisper, right outside the window. "Come back." I turned the key so fast I nearly snapped it. The engine roared to life, and I reversed out of that turnout with snow spraying in all directions. I didn't stop driving until I was miles away, back in cell service, where my phone suddenly lit up, battery somehow at 80% again. When I got home, I checked the GPS route from earlier. The trail I thought I walked, the clearing I found, none of it existed on the map. Priest. Lake rangers later told me something that made my skin crawl. People have gone missing in that part of the forest for decades. Every one of them described hearing someone whisper their name before they vanished. Some claimed they followed knocking sounds. Some said they saw an old shed. Some described something tall moving behind the walls. But the rangers insisted there are no structures out there, and they never found footprints. Not once. I haven't hiked alone since, and at night, sometimes I wake up thinking I hear a soft tapping, 3 seconds apart, just like before. I grew up in Pine Hollow, a small mountain town surrounded on every side by dense, endless forest. Most people there learn to fear the woods at night, but not me. My father was a wilderness ranger. He taught me the trails, the wildlife, and the way shadows can trick your eyes if you let fear get ahead of logic. But none of his lessons prepared me for what happened last October. It started with a simple message from a friend. "Hiking tonight. Full moon. Perfect weather." I had been stressed with work, exhausted, and honestly desperate for a break. So I grabbed my backpack, put on my boots, and headed toward Black Pine Trail, one of the oldest routes in the forest. A place I knew like my own backyard. The sun dipped low as I walked, painting everything gold and warm. But the moment the last bit of light slipped behind the ridge, the forest changed. The temperature dropped sharply. The air thickened, and every sound, every cricket, every bird fell silent. At first, I brushed it off. Animals go quiet for many reasons. But then I saw something that made my steps slow. A tree, split straight down the middle, from top to bottom, as if a lightning bolt had carved it open. Except there were no burn marks, and the edges were too clean, too precise. I leaned closer, trying to understand what could have caused something like that, when I noticed marks on the bark, long, thin, deep grooves, almost like fingers. But the spacing, the angles, they didn't match any animal I knew. I stepped back, suddenly aware of how cold I felt. I pulled out my phone to text my friend, but I had no signal, not even a single bar. Should have turned around right then, but I didn't. I kept walking. A few minutes later, I reached the wooden footbridge that crossed over a shallow creek. I had crossed this bridge maybe 500 times in my life, but tonight it looked different. The wood planks were soaked, though it hadn't rained, and more strange. The boards were covered in footprints, bare footprints, small ones, dozens of them. They were all facing the same direction, toward the deeper part of the forest. I tried to convince myself they were from kids, maybe hikers, maybe campers, though it made no sense for anyone to walk barefoot miles into a cold mountain trail at night. Still, I crossed the bridge. The footprints continued into the dirt, then into the leaves, then deeper and deeper, until they vanished completely at the base of a huge old pine tree, one of the largest in the entire forest. Circled around it. That's when I saw something carved into the trunk, a symbol, a shape, something like an eye, but wrong, stretched, crooked, like it had been carved by someone whose hand was shaking violently. I touched it without thinking. The moment my fingers brushed the grooves, I felt something, a vibration deep inside the tree. Like a heartbeat, the forest exhaled. And I swear, the ground beneath me pulsed. I stepped back fast, my own heartbeat racing. I didn't know where my friend was anymore, and suddenly, I didn't care. All I wanted to do was leave, but the woods didn't want me to. As I turned around to head back, I froze, because standing in the middle of the trail was a figure. A small child, barefoot, clothes dirty and torn, head lowered so I couldn't see the face. I took a careful step back. "Hey, are you okay?" My voice cracked. The child didn't move. I tried again. "Are you lost? Do you need help?" Nothing, only the faintest sound, breathing. Slow, steady breathing. I looked around, hoping an adult would appear, but we were alone. Completely alone. "I can take you back to town if you want," I said gently. Finally, slowly, the child lifted their head. What I saw wasn't a face, not a real one, just skin smooth, blank, stretched where features should have been. No eyes, no mouth, no expression. I stepped back in horror as the child tilted, its head unnaturally far to the left, then to the right, like it was studying me without eyes. Then the breathing stopped. The forest held its breath again. The child took one step forward, and the ground beneath it shifted, as if something massive stirred underneath the roots. I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't care about the trail or direction. I just needed to get out. Branches whipped my face, roots caught my boots, and the cold air burned my lungs. Behind me, I heard something moving, not footsteps, not running, something sliding, dragging, large, and then a sound I will never forget. A deep, low groan, like the forest itself was waking up. I burst through the tree line near the ranger station, stumbling into the clearing. The lights from the station flickered as if they were reacting to something unseen. I didn't stop running until I was inside, slamming the door behind me. When I finally looked outside, nothing was there. No child, no figure, no movement, just the trees, still and silent. I reported everything, the footprints, the tree, the creature, but no one believed me. Search teams found nothing. The tree with the symbol? Gone. The split tree? Perfectly normal, as if it had never been damaged. But I know what I saw. I know what followed me. And sometimes, when I drive past the ranger station late at night, I see small barefoot prints in the dirt, leading back into the forest. Like something is waiting. Or watching, or calling me back. I was heading north through the Mark Twain National Forest in Missouri, a stretch of two-lane blacktop that always felt a little too quiet for comfort. It was mid-November, the air sharp enough to sting your lungs, and the forest on both sides of the road looked almost black in the fading light. I wasn't a trucker this time, just a guy trying to cut hours off his drive by taking a road locals said was peaceful. If I'd known what waited in those woods, I would have added 3 extra hours and stuck to the interstate. I'd been driving for about 40 minutes when the rain began, not a heavy downpour, just thin, cold streaks tapping across the windshield. The sky was bruised purple. I slowed down, leaning forward a little, trying to see past the mist starting to cling to the road. The trees were so tall they made a tunnel above me, blocking what little daylight was left. That was when I saw the first sign something was wrong. There was a pickup parked on the shoulder. Old, maybe late 90s, with mud up to the windows and the driver's door hanging wide open. Headlights still on, engine running. I rolled past slowly, expecting someone to wave me down. Nobody did, but I swear, I saw something move behind the truck. Not a person, too low, too fast. Almost like a shadow sliding across the wet ground. I stopped about 20 yards ahead and looked at the truck through my side mirror. The rain made everything shimmer, but I didn't see anyone. No silhouette. No movement. Just trees swaying and that old pickup humming like someone had left it minutes ago. A deep instinct inside me said, don't get out. Just go. But another part of me, the part that didn't want someone hurt out here, forced my hand. I slipped my jacket on, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out. The cold slapped me immediately. The rain wasn't heavy, but it was icy, and the forest smelled like wet leaves and metal. I walked back toward the truck, boots crunching on gravel, scanning the tree line with my light. Hello? Anyone injured? I called out. Nothing answered. Not even an echo. I looked inside the truck. Keys in ignition. Heater blowing. A cup of gas station coffee still steaming. Whatever made the person leave, it happened minutes before I arrived. Then I heard it. A long, low whine drifting from the forest. Not an animal. Not wind. Something. In dash between. It rose slowly before cutting off sharp, like someone had clamped their hand over their own mouth. The hairs on my neck lifted. I backed away from the tree line, eyes locked on the space between those massive pines. It felt like something was standing just inside the dark, watching me. That's when I noticed the footprints. Bare feet. Small. Dozens of them. Leading away from the truck. Leading into the woods. My stomach flipped. No sane person walks barefoot through a Missouri forest in November. And certainly not during a freezing rain. I should have called the cops right then. I should have gotten into my car and driven off. But I followed the prints a little further, shining my light into the shadows. The forest swallowed the beam like it barely existed. Then that whine came again, closer. Much closer. And this time it wasn't alone. A second voice, higher pitched, joined it. Then a third, whispers layered under the sound. Fast, breathy, overlapping whispers. None of them understandable. I stepped back quickly, scanning for eyes in the dark. The rain fell harder now, streaking the flashlight lens, making everything twitch and blur. Something was moving between the trees, shapes flickering too fast to focus on. I hurried back to my car, heart slamming in my chest. I shut the door, locked it, threw the car in drive and froze. Something stood behind the pickup now, a figure, human-sized, but wrong. The shoulders were too high. The arms too long. And it leaned forward. in a way no person naturally could, like it was studying my car when my headlights hit it. The figure stiffened as if the light burned. It jerked its head toward me, and even from dozens of feet away, I felt the weight of whatever eyes it had, like cold fingers pressing into my mind. Then it moved, not toward me, but upward, straight upward. It climbed the side of the pickup like a spider, limbs bending and reaching in unnatural angles. It perched on the roof, crouched low, head tilted like a curious predator. The whispers in the forest rose all at once, dozens of them, hissing and calling from every direction. My breath fogged the windshield, and for a second I couldn't move. Then instinct saved me. I slammed the accelerator. My car fishtailed in the wet, then caught traction. The creature on the truck stood tall for a second, and then collapsed backward into the forest, disappearing in a dripping blur of motion. As I sped away, the whispers followed me, echoing between the trees, rising into a chorus. The rain hammered down. Lightning cracked above. I didn't dare look in the mirrors. I didn't want to know if anything was chasing me. After 10 minutes, the forest thinned and the sky opened up. I hit a small gas station at the edge of the county and pulled in, shaking so hard I could barely shift into park. Inside, the clerk gave me a weird look. "Rough drive?" he asked. I swallowed, trying to steady my voice. "There's a truck broken down back a few miles." Door open, no driver. The clerk's face drained of color. White pickup. Mud up the side. "Yes," he nodded slowly. "That truck's been sitting there for 3 days." My throat dried instantly. "That's impossible." The coffee inside was still hot. He shook his head. "No one lives down that stretch anymore. Not since the Carter family went missing last fall. People hear things out there. Voices, movement. I didn't sleep that night. I still don't drive forest roads after dark. And sometimes, when rain brushes across my window, I swear I can hear those same whispers, faint, waiting like they never stopped following me."